Erev Tov Rabotai, we are continuing with our Mishna Yomi, Masechet Bava Kamma. We are up to Perek Daled, Mishnah Daled. Today's Mishnayot should be Leilu Nishmat, Neria ben Svetlana, Ranbai, Eliyahu ben Burcha Israelov, Chana ben Miriam, Sason ben Raya, and Yehoshua ben Shifra, Menuchatam beGan Eden, Amen. And Lehavdil ben Chaim lechaim, and the Refuah Shelemav, Daniel Shalom ben Rosa, Betoch Shah Cholei Israel. The Mishnah begins, Shor shel pikeach, if the ox of a competent person, a normal adult, shanagach shor shel cheresh shoteh vekatan, gored the ox of a deaf mute, an insane person, or a minor. Now a cheresh, a deaf mute, is someone who can neither hear nor speak, as it says in Terumot chapter 1 Mishnah 2. A minor is a boy under 13 years of age or a girl under 12. The Torah considers a deaf mute, a minor, and a person who is insane to be legally incompetent and therefore not responsible for their actions. So if the ox of a competent person gored the ox of a deaf mute, an insane person, or a minor, chayav, the damager, is obligated to pay for the damage. Since the owner of the ox that gored is a normal, competent adult, he is responsible to watch his ox and prevent it from damaging. V'shel cheresh shodeh vekatan, but if the ox of a deaf mute, an insane person, or a minor, shanagach shol shepikeach, gored the ox of a competent person, patur, the damager is not obligated to pay for the damage, for since he is not mentally competent, he cannot be held responsible for guarding his animal. However, if the ox of a deaf mute, an insane person, or a minor gored repeatedly, thereby showing that it is wild and aggressive, Bet din ma'amidin lahen apotropos, the court appoints a guardian to watch over the ox for them. The word apotropos, guardian, administrator, is usually used for a person who is appointed to protect the affairs of young orphans or other people who are legally incompetent. The guardian discussed here, though, is appointed not to protect the owner, but to secure his ox and prevent it from doing damage. Um'idin lahen b'fnei apotropos, and witnesses testify about them before the court in the presence of the guardian, meaning, if witnesses testify that the ox gored 3 times after the guardian took charge, the ox becomes a muad. Then if the ox gores a 4th time, the court can collect full damages from the property of the owner, meaning the deaf, mute, insane person, or minor. Now the law is that an animal does not become a muad unless its owner was warned in court 3 times, once after each goring. But in this case, warning the owner is meaningless, since he is legally incompetent. Therefore, even if the ox gored more than 3 times, it does not become a muad, but remains a tam. Even after the guardian takes over, the animal remains a tam until it gores another 3 times, and the guardian is warned in court after each time. Only then does it become a muad, and if it gores the 4th time, full damages must be paid from the property of the owner. Nitpakeach achresh, if the ox became a muad after the guardian was appointed, and then the deaf mute became able to hear and speak, Nishtapa shoteh, or the insane person became sane, Vigdila katan, or the minor became an adult, so that the responsibility for the ox goes from the guardian back to the owner, since the owner is now mentally competent. Chazar letamuto, the ox returns to its tam status, and its owner pays only half damages if it gores again. Divrei bimeir, these are the words of Rabbi Meir. According to Rabbi Meir, when the ox moved from the jurisdiction of the guardian to that of the newly competent owner, it goes back to being a tam. This is because the owner can claim that if he himself had been warned about the ox, he would have guarded it more effectively and prevented it from goring 3 times. He therefore cannot be held responsible for its having become a mu'ad. A dissenting view, Rabbi Yossi says, Hareu b'cheskato, the ox remains in its present mu'ad state even after its owner becomes competent, and so he must pay full damages if it gores again. Rabbi Yossi holds that the ox did not really move to a new jurisdiction when the owner became competent, because this guardian simply stood in place of the owner. The ox therefore remains a muad and does not go back to being a tam. And this is how the Rambam writes in Erechot Nizkei Mamon, chapter 6, halacha 6. The Torah states in the book of Shemot, chapter 21, verse 28, that an ox that killed a person is put to death. The Mishnah teaches an exception to this law. Shora itztadin enuchayv mita, an ox of the stadium, an ox that is trained to fight for the purpose of entertaining spectators in a stadium, is not liable to be put to death if it killed a person. Shenemar, because it is stated ki gach. If an ox gores a man or a woman and the victim dies, the ox shall surely be stoned. By stating if an ox gores, the verse implies that the sentence of death is applied only if the ox gored on its own, velo shiyagichuhu, and not if others cause it to gore, for example, by training it. Now, the Mishnah speaks of a trained ox that killed a person. There is a difference of opinion whether the exemption also applies to damage caused by such an ox, is discussed in the commentators. And that is then of Mishnah Daled. The Torah states, again in the book of Shemot, chapter 21, verses 29 and 30, that if an animal kills a person, its owner is liable to death at the hands of heaven, but he can save himself from death by paying a kofer, a ransom, to the heirs of the victim. The kofer amount, the ransom, is equal to the victim's value just before his death. Had he been sold then as a slave, this payment is made to the victim's heirs. Mishnah Hay teaches when this law applies. Shol shenagach et ha'adam vamet. If an ox gored a person and he died, mu'ad mishalem kofer. The law is that if the ox was a mu'ad, it had already gored and killed 3 people, its owner pays the kofer, the ransom. V'tam patur min kofer. But if the ox was a tam, meaning it had not killed 3 people before this killing, its owner is exempt from paying the kofer. This difference between a tam and a mu'ad is implied by verses in the Torah. However, both this one and that one, the tam and the mu'ad, are liable to be put to death by stoning for having killed a person. Although an animal is put to death for killing a person just once, it can become a mu'ad, one that has killed 3 times, if it ran away after each killing. V'chen bevat, v'chen bevat, v'chen beven, v'chen bevat. The same laws apply even where the victim is just a boy or a girl, not an adult, meaning the ox is stoned, and if the ox is a mu'ad, its owner pays the kofer. This law appears in the Torah where whether it gores a boy or it gores a girl. This is in book of Shemot, chapter 21, verse 31. It could have been thought that the ox is not put to death, nor does the owner pay a kofer if it killed a minor, was not obligated mitzvot. The Torah therefore teaches otherwise. The Torah also states there in verse 32 that if the victim is a Canaanite slave, the owner of the animal pays 30 shekels. The Mishnah elaborates upon this law. Nagach eved o amah, if an ox gored a male Canaanite slave or a female Canaanite slave and killed him or her, the ox is put to death. Noten shloshim slaim, and its owner must give 30 slaim, 30 shekels, to the owner of the slave. The Mishnah refers to the shekels of the Torah slaim. Here too, the owner pays the fine only if the ox is a mu'ad, but if the ox is put to death, even if it is a tam. Ben shu yafeh me'ah maneh, ben shenu yafeh dinar echad. Whether the slave is worth 100 maneh, 2,500 slaim, or whether the slave is only worth a single dinar, a quarter of a selah. The Torah fixed 30 slaim as the kofer where the victim is a Canaanite slave, regardless of the slave's actual value. And this is the end of Mishnah Hay. That's the end, Rabotai, of today's Mishna Yomi. Baruch Adonai Le'olam. Amen v'amen.